So the days I was driving home from work, I was beginning to feel really discouraged. I started thinking about where I was in life and how far I was from obtaining the goals that I set for myself. And I was just starting to get this sense of just withdrawal from everything that I wanted to do because it just wasn't happening for me. And so on this drive home, as I'm feeling discouraged, as I'm starting to get a little depressed, and honestly a little unmotivated to continue to move forward with the things that I plan to do in my life because I'm just not seeing results, I heard the words, okay. As we push forward now in the third month of the new year, I'm finding myself challenged almost daily with being disciplined, being consistent, showing up authentically. And a lot of this has to do with my now realizing how much work truly goes into getting exactly what you want out of life. Because these are standards that you've set up for yourself, or that I've set up for myself in this case, no one else is really telling me what I need to do to get there. In my adolescence, I focused a lot of time and energy on doing the things that other people wanted me to do. Because of this, I focused all of my energy on making sure I obtained the goal that other people set for me instead of the goals that I had for myself. And quite honestly, I don't think at that age I really knew what I wanted. It wasn't until I got a little older that I started realizing what was meant for me and what I really did not want in my life. And as I started to establish these kinds of boundaries and pushed away the things that did not serve me, I quickly realized how much energy and focus I put on the present and on what was going on right now. And please don't get me wrong, living in the present and focusing on what's going on right now is actually a good thing. We want to be present in every moment that we're in. We want to take in all these moments. We want to take in all the joys that come with living right now. We don't want to focus so much attention on the future that we forget to enjoy what's happening right in front of us. But for me, because I spent so much energy focusing on the present, I very rarely thought about what the future would look like. And so I always set myself up essentially for failure because I was focusing my energy on that which I had right now as though it was all that I could have. Whether it be my finances, whether it be in relationships, whether it be in career, I was always focused on what was happening to me in the present moment and almost always assumed that nothing more can be gained from this. And if something more could be gained, I should see it right now, or at the very least, in the very near future. So the days I was driving home from work, I was beginning to feel really discouraged. I started thinking about where I was in life and how far I was from obtaining the goals that I set for myself. I started to take into account how much time and energy I'd put into obtaining these goals and how far along I had essentially gotten at this point. And for me, it did not seem as though I was making much progress because I hadn't really seen the fruits of my labor yet. And I was just starting to get this sense of just withdrawal from everything that I wanted to do because it just wasn't happening for me. And so on this drive home, as I'm feeling discouraged, as I'm starting to get a little depressed, and honestly a little unmotivated to continue to move forward with the things that I plan to do in my life because I'm just not seeing results, I heard the words, "Your present is not permanent." And almost immediately, I felt so guilty, but at the same time, so elated with the fact that I have time to do all that I want to do. One of the things that I've been challenged with specifically in this regard is with losing the baby weight that I gained during my pregnancy. Now, I constantly hear other new moms and moms who've had many children say, "It took you 9 months to gain the weight. It's not going to come right off as soon as the baby comes. You're going to have to give yourself time. You're going to have to give yourself grace." I've essentially been beating myself up every single day that I go to the gym every single day that I hit the mat, when after my workout, I don't see immediate results. I mean, I literally will get up from my mat, go to the mirror, and see what changes transpired during my 30-minute workout. And honestly, that's such a toxic way of thinking, that in the present, we have so much control over that which is going to happen in the future, to the point where we don't focus on how much time and attention we need to give to a thing to get there. I think one of the things that has been challenging to me most of all is realizing that the work I'm doing now will have results in the future. I just have to be patient in getting there. And so right now I may not be feeling like, the push-ups that I'm doing are going to get me to the strength that I want in the future, right? Because I don't feel it right now. Or the money that I'm saving here or there is really going to get me to the down payment on the home that eventually I want, right? We're looking at our present struggles and holding them as though this is all that life has for us. There's nothing more we can get out of life. There's nothing more we can do outside of what we're doing right now to get anything else. We're looking at our present moment and we are attaching to it this feeling of permanency, right? We're attaching to it this feeling of, I can't get any farther than I am right now. And what's crazy is if you look back, right, at 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you ask yourself, how far have you come since then? I'm willing to bet you've made a significant progress. And honestly, if you look back then and had written down where you wanted to be right now, you're probably in a lot of those places. I know for me, one of the things that I had constantly written down in my goals was to eventually graduate from law school and to eventually pass the bar exam. And while I still have not passed the bar exam, I have graduated from law school. But at the time that I wrote that, I wrote it down because it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen. I was really struggling in my classes. I was having a hard time understanding the cases. I was having a hard time making critical arguments. And I got to a point where I was wondering if this was even for me. But I put the work in. Even though it was work I did in the past, at the present time, it just felt like it wasn't enough. At the present time, it just felt like I wasn't ever going to get to this point. But the fact of the matter is, I did. And now that I'm in a new present, I'm even challenged now with reminding myself that this is not permanent. So even though the work I'm doing now is not supplying immediate gratification, I have to remind myself that at some point in the future, though I don't know when that's going to be, it will depend on a whole bunch of different factors. At some point in the future, that work, so long as I'm being consistent, so long as I'm being disciplined, is going to get me to the place that I want. Now, things happen in life. Things come up, challenges will constantly resurface, and these are just things we cannot control. Time is going to keep moving. Life is going to keep happening. Things are going to keep changing. But if you stop, you go nowhere. If you don't move, nothing moves for you. Right now, you may be sitting and thinking to yourself that everything that you want in life is just so unobtainable, or it's just taking so long to get there. We're putting an energy into what we want in the future right now. And the energy we're putting in right now is going to accumulate to the things we want in the future. We just have to be patient.